the shove, the chaos. The referees, for some reason, decided this moment called for review. 15 minutes. Fans sat there watching replay after replay, where the evidence seemed clear. Mabry had shoved Clark to the ground with absolutely no regard for whether it was basketball or not. And yet, the final ruling? A technical foul for Caitlin Clark, a technical foul for Marina Mabry, and one flagrant foul for JC Sheldon. No.
How was that the call? After 15 minutes of deliberating, that's what you call? 3 texts and a flagrant 1? That's it? That's it? That is what they called.
I mean, is that displacement? I think it is. Oh, and Marina made
collective gasp. But here's where everything started to spiral. Instead of halting play to get things under control, the officials in the arena skyrocketed. Clark instantly recoiled, her hand shooting up to her face as the crowd let out a just when it couldn't get worse. Sophie Cunningham made a controversial move that changed everything. So what really happened? Clark looked ready to dominate until chaos exploded on the court. An eye swipe by JC Sheldon, a shove, and then
you can see here JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabry.
The young superstar has become the center of attention, and not just because of her talent. She's drawing huge crowds, breaking records, and putting up numbers. But with all the hype has come something darker: physical targeting. Night after night, game after game, Caitlin is getting knocked around. Hard fouls, elbows, pushes, screens that go too far. And the refs? They're letting it slide. And Sophie? She's not staying quiet anymore. She called out what millions of fans are seeing. The referees need to do their job. Caitlin Clark is a rookie, yes, but she's a professional, and she deserves protection like any other player. She's not wrong. This isn't about favoritism. It's about fairness. It's about setting the right tone. Not just for Caitlin,
lot of contact going on right there. That's a lot of unnecessary contact.
And every future WNBA player watching. Let's get one thing straight.
Let's talk about what happened next after everything. The swipe.
She's proven it already. But that doesn't mean she should be left vulnerable on the court. When your league's biggest young star gets hammered every night and officials ignore it, fans notice. Players notice. And now veterans are speaking up. The problem has gone beyond a few missed calls. It's now a league-wide conversation. Some say Caitlin is being singled out because of her popularity. Others say she's paying the price for the spotlight. But here's the truth. The WNBA is growing. Fast. And players like Caitlin Clark are a big reason why. If the league doesn't protect them, it sends the wrong message. Sophie's reaction wasn't just emotional. It was necessary. Because when players...
Sophie commits a hard foul on JC Sheldon. Again, as JC Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her.
Clark kept pushing forward, stayed tough, but how many times can you take punishment like that without your teammates stepping up? That was the real breaking point. Sophie Cunningham had seen enough. As JC Sheldon went up for a layup, Cunningham didn't just contest the shot. She grabbed Sheldon mid-air, wrapped her up in a bear hug, and pulled her down to the floor with authority.
Sheldon going coast to coast, and here we got another break is here as JC Sheldon goes right after Sophie Cunningham.
That's a flagrant foul. It's a hard foul. You could say it's a play on the ball, but
This wasn't about the score anymore. It was about sending a message, and the timing couldn't have been louder. Cunningham made it clear to the entire arena that if the league wasn't going to protect its stars, then she was going to do it herself. The moment was raw, messy, and completely shocking, but the message landed. Stop coming for Caitlin. And honestly, fans loved it. The crowd's response was instant. The minute Sheldon hit the court, boos rained down on the Sun players, and it didn't take long before chants of "Sophie, Sophie" echoed through the arena.
Their second job is to make sure that there is a good product of basketball on the court, that the referees aren't getting in the way of the product that is on the floor. And with that, you guys, you can hear it in the video right here. The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie."
Cunningham had tapped into something bigger than just one foul. Fans weren't cheering for the takedown itself, they were cheering for the stand she made. Finally, someone was standing up against the nonsense that Clark had been dealing with all night, all season. Cunningham in that moment became the symbol of everyone's frustration, with the refs, with the league, with the way star players were being targeted. This wasn't a typical basketball play, but it was a play that meant something. The fans definitely understood. From the jump, it felt like the refs weren't taking this seriously enough, and you could sense it. This wasn't going to stay just physical. It was only the beginning. Clark, of course, didn't back down. When players feel like the officiating isn't protecting them, they sometimes have to protect themselves. And that's exactly what she did by nudging Sheldon after the play.
Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, "Why are you still in my face?" Marina Mabry, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.
Spaces. It's clear players are testing the limits with her, and why wouldn't they? The officiating isn't stopping it, they're letting it slide repeatedly. And with the league's biggest star under constant attack, fans are starting to wonder how far this has to go before someone in authority steps up.
Is that I like to say they got them straight out of Sephora, because I don't think these referees have ever refereed a professional basketball game in their life. They took these referees, they were at the monitor, they looked at it for, I'm not even exaggerating, you guys, like 15 minutes. 15 minutes they are watching this play over and over.
Now think about this. Clark, the one who got an eye swiped, then shoved to the floor, ends up being punished too. How does that happen? How does the league's biggest star defending herself land her in the same boat as someone who literally threw her to the ground in front of everyone? Fans in the stands were shaking their heads.
And mind you, the reporters at the time, the announcers here are saying, of course, Marina Mabry is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant one, of course, on JC Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball. Whether it is intentional,
even the broadcaster started calling it out, asking what players would have to do to get themselves ejected at this point. It felt like a message had been sent, and it wasn't a good one. Roughhouse all you want, just don't cross some arbitrary invisible line the refs might choose to enforce. If this had been an isolated moment, maybe you could brush it off as just a bad call in a tense game. But the truth is, this type of targeting has been happening to Clark all season.
Funny because on the broadcast, I'm not even sure who the male announcer was, but he was essentially like, what do you actually need to do to get ejected? Because Marina just came out of nowhere and chucked her to the ground and was not ejected for that. So what do you actually need to do to be ejected from the game in a WNBA? The other night, Dejanay Carrington yanked Sarah Ashley Barker's hair and it was a common foul. There was no flagrants. We have seen those, and now we have seen a non-basketball play getting shoved to the ground and it's just a technical foul. Nobody gets ejected.
Eye pokes that get a common foul at best, random hair pulls away from the action, elbows flying in tight